She's lying, Dad. She's always hated me. Those words slipped out with a sharp grin that could cut glass. Her eyes shimmered with fake innocence, her voice trembling just enough to make her sound convincing. And there he was, my husband, the man I trusted, standing silently, staring at me as if I were already guilty. Hi, I'm Maria. And I learned the hardest way that betrayal doesn't always come from the ones you fear. It comes from the people who swear they love you the most. You'd think that after building a marriage, a home, and a life together, it would mean something. But one single evening, everything came crashing down, all because a spoiled 20-year-old whispered poison into her father's ear. I remember that night like shattered glass. The living room light too bright, the silence too heavy, his expression too cold. Maria, just pack your stuff. I can't do this anymore. His voice was steady. Mine, on the other hand, trembled. What are you saying? You're throwing me out because of something she told you? But he didn't answer. He only gazed at her, the same blind love he once had for me. That's when I realized I wasn't his priority anymore. I wasn't even his choice. The walls of our home seemed to echo with laughter that wasn't mine, loyalty that wasn't his. And the cruelest part? He didn't even ask me what really happened. No defense, no second chance, just a cold exile. I packed in silence. Each sweater folded felt like a funeral. Every pair of shoes slipping into the suitcase felt like another betrayal. When the door slammed behind me, the night air hit me like ice. I stood there, suitcase in hand, my marriage shattered, her smirk still lingering in the shadows of the window. But here's the thing. Life has a way of balancing debts. And their debt was heavy. 3 weeks later, he came back asking if I had reflected, if I was ready to apologize and return. I didn't just walk away. I made sure they both felt the weight of their actions. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The first week was spent in a friend's spare room, staring at the ceiling every night, wondering how years of love could vanish with a single breath. The silence was crushing, pressing into my chest. Every time my phone lit up, I hoped it was him, realizing the truth. But it never was. Instead, it was her posts on social media, mocking captions, little digs meant to get to me. He just wanted me broken. And for a moment, I was. But pain has a way of sharpening you. The more I replayed that night, the more I realized it wasn't just her lie that hurt me. It was his choice to believe it, his silence, his betrayal. By the second week, something inside me had shifted. I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't angry. I was cold, detached. The version of me who begged for his love died the night he closed that door. That's when I began planning. I dug out the box of papers I'd kept safe for years. Financial documents, property records, evidence of everything I'd contributed to our life. He thought I would leave with nothing. He thought he could erase me. But he underestimated the quiet woman he tossed aside. The third week was almost peaceful. I woke up early, cooked my own meals, and wrote in solitude. Each day I became steadier, colder, stronger. So when he finally showed up at my friend's door, guilt all over his face, I didn't tremble. "Maria," he said softly, "I think we both need some time to reflect. Maybe it's time you apologized and came back." He wanted me to crawl back, as though I had been the problem. I smiled, calm and deliberate. "Actually," I said, handing him the neatly prepared envelope. I did reflect. His hand shook as he opened it. Divorce papers. And for the first time, he was left standing in the cold. For a moment, he just stared at the papers, his jaw tight, eyes darting between my face and the word at the top. Divorce. He laughed, but it wasn't real. It was the nervous kind of laugh that a man makes when the ground shifts beneath him. "This is ridiculous, Maria," he said. "You're upset. We don't need to go this far." I leaned against the doorframe, my arms folded, calm as the night air. "You believed her lies without even asking me once. You threw me out like garbage. And now you want me to apologize?" His voice rose, desperate. "She's my daughter. What else could I do? Ignore her?" That sentence cut deep, but it also made everything clearer. His daughter had always come first. I was never his equal. I was just temporary. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. "You were supposed to be my husband. You were supposed to know me better than anyone. But instead you chose her story over my truth." For the first time, I saw something shift in his eyes. Fear. Not fear of losing me, but fear of losing the life I had built with him. The stability, the financial security, the woman who had kept the house, managed the bills, and stood by him when no one else would. Maria, don't do this. Let's just talk. But I was done talking. My silence was louder than his pleas. Then, like a signal, she appeared. His daughter stood behind him, arms crossed, her eyes full of venom. Good, she sneered. Finally, she's leaving for good. Dad, let her go. She was always jealous of me. Her words didn't hurt this time. Instead, they fueled me as I saw it, the cracks forming in their bond. He looked at her differently now. That smug grin on her face didn't comfort him. It made him uneasy. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I simply whispered, "You'll regret this." Then I closed the door on both of them. But they didn't know everything was already in motion. The door clicked shut, but their voices echoed down the hallway. His muffled scolding, her sharp retorts. It was like music to me. For the first time, their perfect little father-daughter alliance was beginning to crumble. I leaned against the wall, steadying my breath. My hands didn't shake this time. My chest didn't ache. I was calm. Too calm because revenge isn't fire. It's ice. It waits, chills, and spreads slowly. Over the next few days, I carried out each step of my plan, quietly, methodically. I met with my lawyer, an old friend who didn't need much explanation to understand why I wanted this handled swiftly and mercilessly. Together, we went through everything: the house, the investments, the joint accounts. Half of it had my name on it. Contributions he'd long dismissed as helping. I had built as much of that life as he had, maybe more. Then there was his precious company, the one I had supported from the very start. When it was nothing more than an idea scribbled on napkins, I'd invested my savings. He thought he owned it alone, but I had the receipts, contracts, bank transfers, signatures. Legally, I wasn't just his wife. I was his silent partner. And now silence was over. When he realized what I was doing, he tried to stop me. Calls, messages, even showing up at my door again. But I didn't answer. Every ring that went unanswered was a reminder. He had lost the right to my voice. And his daughter? She couldn't contain herself. She posted about me online, calling me bitter, desperate, pathetic. Each post only proved her insecurity. Each word she typed revealed how unprepared she was for the real war. But what neither of them knew, and what made me smile in the quiet of the night, was that I wasn't just leaving with dignity. I was leaving with power. And soon they'd both learn what it felt like to lose everything they'd taken for granted. The official court summons hit him like a storm. My lawyer delivered it, clean, sharp. Division of assets, proof of my financial stake, and a clear claim on what was rightfully mine. I imagined his face when he read it, how the smug certainty he once carried must have cracked. Divorce was supposed to be easy for him: throw me out, watch me crawl, then offer forgiveness when I was desperate enough. But I wasn't crawling. I was climbing. And he was the one sinking. 2 days later, I saw him standing outside the courthouse, his expression torn between anger and desperation. "Maria, please. You don't have to do this. Think about everything we built." I looked him straight in the eye. "Exactly, we built it. Not you, not her. And now I'm taking what I earned." His daughter stood there too, arms crossed, glaring at me like I had committed a crime. "You're just greedy," she spat. "You never loved him. You only cared about money." I almost laughed. "Funny. I'm not the one who lied to destroy a marriage." She lunged forward, but he held her back, his voice frantic. "Stop, you're making it worse." Worse? That word lingered because, yes, things were about to get much worse for both of them. My lawyer filed everything perfectly. Bank accounts frozen, assets tied up, property under review. For the first time, my husband wasn't in control. He was powerless. And every time his daughter screeched about it, I knew she felt powerless too. But the sweetest part wasn't the legal victory. It was watching their so-called perfect bond unravel under the weight of consequences. He blamed her for lying. She blamed him for being weak. Their alliance had once pushed me out of my own home. Now it was eating them alive from within. And I wasn't done yet. Because revenge isn't just about taking back what's yours. It's about making sure they never forget the price of betraying you. Court hearings began, and with every session I watched his mask slip further. The confident man who once stood tall in our living room telling me to pack my things now sat slouched in a suit, sweating under questions he couldn't answer. My lawyer tore into him like glass under a hammer. Every time he tried to downplay my role in the business, the evidence sliced through him. Emails, receipts, contracts, everything bearing his signature beside mine. He looked smaller with every revelation. And then there was her, sitting in the back at every hearing, arms crossed, her glare burning into me. She wanted me to feel weak, invisible. But the longer she sat there, the more her bitterness showed. People whispered about her in the gallery, wondering why she looked so restless, so filled with hate. While I sat there, calm and unshaken, the turning point came during cross-examination. My lawyer asked, "Did you or did you not remove your wife from the marital home without any discussion or proof of wrongdoing?" He hesitated, glancing at his daughter for support, but she couldn't speak for him. He was alone on that stand, choking on his own choices. I didn't smile, didn't gloat. I simply sat there, letting my silence scream louder than any words ever could. Later that evening, as I walked out of the courthouse, his daughter followed me to the parking lot. Her voice dripped with venom. "You think you've won? You're pathetic. My dad will never forgive you." I turned and met her gaze, unflinching. "He doesn't have to forgive me. But one day, he'll realize who really destroyed his marriage. And it wasn't me." For the first time, her face faltered. Just a small crack, but it was there. I got into my car, the cool leather wrapping around me like armor. The city lights blurred against the windshield. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. Because revenge wasn't just playing out in the courtroom. It was unraveling in their home, behind closed doors, where the trust between father and daughter was shattering. And I hadn't even made my final move yet. The cracks widened faster than I expected. Word came to me through mutual friends. Their once solid bond had soured. He began questioning everything she said, every excuse, every late-night story. What once was blind trust had turned into suspicion. One night I heard he snapped. "You ruined everything." He screamed it loud enough for the neighbors to hear. He blamed me. He blamed the court. He blamed himself for being weak. Their war was no longer quiet. It was public, and I stayed silent. I didn't need to interfere. They were destroying each other beautifully. The second court hearing sealed it. The judge ruled in my favor, granting me half of the assets and acknowledging my financial contributions to the business. His face went gray as those words echoed in the courtroom. His daughter stormed out halfway through, slamming the door so hard it rattled the walls. That night, I received a message from him. Short, pathetic. "Maria, please, we can fix this. Let's talk without the lawyers." I stared at the screen for a long time. Once upon a time, I would have clung to those words. But now they felt hollow, almost insulting. I didn't reply. Instead, I took my final step. My lawyer and I arranged to transfer my share of the business into a trust that funded scholarships for women who had been abandoned or silenced. Every dollar that left his grasp became a weapon of memory. My pain turned into their freedom. When he found out, his rage was volcanic. Friends told me he yelled at his daughter, blaming her for pushing me to this point. She, in turn, screamed that it was his fault for ever marrying me. Their alliance? Ashes scattered in the wind. I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, breathing in the cool night air, free and untouchable. I hadn't just left him. I had rewritten the ending. The last hearing didn't feel like a courtroom battle. It felt more like a funeral. His funeral, not of his body, but of his pride, his power, his control. The judge's ruling was clear. I walked away with my rightful share of everything we had built, and more importantly, I walked away free. He sat there, shoulders slumped, his daughter whispering furiously beside him, but even she couldn't hide the panic in her eyes. Their kingdom had crumbled, and neither of them knew how to rebuild it. When it was over, I didn't rush out. I stood, gathered my documents, and walked slowly past him. He lifted his eyes, red and wet, searching for something. Pity, forgiveness, maybe hope. I gave him nothing. Outside the courthouse, she was waiting. His daughter. No smugness now. Just raw anger that looked a lot like fear. "You destroyed him," she hissed. I tilted my head, calm as ice. "No, he destroyed himself. You just helped him." Her face twisted, but she didn't answer. Because deep down she knew. Weeks later, I heard he sold the house I had once turned into a home. All to cover legal fees. His business, once steady, began to falter without my quiet hand behind the scenes. And his daughter? She moved out, leaving him alone in a smaller apartment, bitter and broken. But I didn't watch from bitterness. I watched from a distance, from strength. Because revenge isn't about screaming louder than the ones who hurt you. It's about living so fully that their betrayal becomes nothing more than a shadow in your light. And as I signed the final papers, the clerk slid them across the desk with a polite smile. "It's finalized," she said. I traced my finger over the ink, closed the folder, and whispered to myself, "It's over." That was my story. And even now, a part of me is still living in that moment. If you've ever been through something like this, or even if you haven't, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done. And if this story meant something to you, go ahead and subscribe. You never know. The next story might change how you see the world.